to your Daily Game Face. I am Dr. Kim Lannon here on the 7th of May, 2025 with Lou Blase. I wanted to rhyme it with May.
Yes. Oh, I see. I got it.
You got it? You got that?
Yeah.
That was good, huh?
It's the May of you.
The May of you, the May of me, the
May of Lou.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's like we're like in a Dr. Seuss book. Here we go. Okay, so good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
So far, so good.
Oh, that's good. You hear the allergies still?
Yep, a little bit.
And we had a monsoon and it's still
Doesn't that kick it up though? I used to
Yeah,
think
it does.
that helped. But
Yeah, I have been like this for 3 weeks. Over the weekend, I was in New York City. I can say that now.
Yeah, I
but
saw.
I was in New York City and I could barely speak. It was so, it was 90 degrees on Saturday in New York City.
Was it?
Yes,
Holy
it
cow.
was. I got off I won't say how I got there, but I got off the transport of what I used and thought, oh, I'm way overdressed. Because when I left, it was not 90.
Nope.
So it was creeping up on 80, but it was 90 degrees in the city and it was beautiful. And they are way further ahead in terms of spring.
Yeah.
Talk about the May and the year of you. They're like a good 3 to 4 weeks ahead of us for sure. Like
I can do New York City for about 4 hours. Then
well, I used to live there.
Then I get it. Oh, did you?
I did.
I didn't know.
Well, see,
In the city?
I lived smack dab in the city near Herald Square.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I did. I lived midtown, downtown. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I did.
How much fun was that?
I loved it.
Yeah?
People are always like, yeah, no, I loved New York City. It
My
was,
son's in Brooklyn, so
and I love Brooklyn too.
Yeah.
So, but I love Manhattan. So, and I had a very good time. And my allergies were though rocking and rolling though, and it was.
really, you think it'd be better down there?
Why? It's like
Well, I mean, it's mostly urban. It's like,
it's all encroached upon like dirt and
that's true.
and pollen and dust and dirt.
But you're not like in Maudsley. You're not in the middle of a field. You're
Well, no, but there's flowers everywhere because they have trees and
Yep.
the Central Park and every single street corner and everything's lined with flowers and trees and so on and so forth. So Kate is joining us this morning.
Yes.
Hello, Kate. And this could be entertaining because here she is. Kate has less days of school left than she's missed all year.
Interesting way to put it.
Well, was being nice. I'm just saying. I'm here. I'm waiting. The typing is coming, I'm sure. But anyway, I was just gonna say that New York City, I hadn't been in a while. I went down to see Wicked, and how are you doing?
How you doing?
So
Chandler. No.
Joey.
Yeah.
Joey. It's because I went to the Friends experience, and that was entertaining.
In this trip?
Yes.
No. Wow.
I went to the Friends experience. I went to see Wicked on Broadway.
What is the Friends experience?
The Friends experience is literally exactly that. You go and it's the Central Perk Cafe recreated with all the original furniture and all that stuff. The original orange couch that was out in front of the fountain. It is it's like a museum tour of like all the Friends paraphernalia. The couch to do the pivot scene. Remember Pivot?
Yes.
Pivot. Which is probably one of my favorite episodes. And Huggy Bear and all kinds of cute things and like lots of memorabilia. And it wouldn't have been my first thing to do in my life. However, the person that I'm with is obsessed, much like the person who's writing on the screen, is obsessed with Friends. And quite a few people are too, because I thought, oh, this is going to be, actually, it was very well done. I do like the show. I'm not obsessed with it where I have to like go to sleep with it, like some people that shall go unnamed.
It's hugely popular.
It's hugely popular and it's an excellent show and I love it. But I had to do the Friends experience because I got suckered into it. But Wicked was wicked.
Yeah.
And it was so good. And yeah. And I can't wait to see it again. So I can't wait. It's just nothing like it. That in Chicago. When you go see Chicago on Broadway, Wicked.
Was this for this? Who's the front? Who are the fronts?
Don't ask me that. I have no idea.
Okay.
I literally, they were spectacular.
So it wasn't Ariana and the other girl?
No,
Oh, yeah.
Cynthia Erivo. However, and I don't want to tell anybody, but I will. they're doing a 6-month contract. I think 6 months or 6 weeks. I'm sure Kate will tell me. They're doing a contract next year in 2026 to do it on Broadway, and I'm sure the tickets are going to be way expensive and out of the world. So I'm already figuring out how I'm going to get those tickets. And people are asking me, how can you get those tickets for us? And I'm like, why do I look like, if I'm going to get them, I'm getting them for me, not for you.
You've got connections.
I know, but if I'm getting those tickets, they're coming to me.
Yep.
I'm not giving them out.
I gotcha.
Right?
Yep. So you're going to do 6 months, huh?
I think either it's 6 weeks or 6 months. I don't know. I know that they have a contract in 2026 to do the show, but they're waiting till after the movie comes out, the second part.
Oh.
So the second part of the movie comes out November 21st.
Oh, okay.
These are things, that I shouldn't really know, but I do.
Oh, I need to know because my daughter will drag me.
So, and you can get pre-sale tickets to go the night before, which is what I try to do, it's the soft opening on the 20th of November. So
Okay.
I'll go then. But you have to get those tickets like 2 weeks.
I don't need that, but yeah.
I do. I do, because then you don't have to sit with 500 people. It's nice. So I'm very excited. So anyways, I saw that. But you know what the best part of the whole weekend was? So there's a hotel, which I'm not going to name because then I don't want people going to it. But there's a hotel, and people can Google it and figure it out, I'm sure. But I have been going there for years because they have, and it's a famous hotel because of its hotelness, but also because it has a lot of very important figures in the world who have been literary scholars, and like it's just one of those places that I love. It's like, philanthropy and writing and poetry and people who have done things in the world, who've done hard things and done great things. But there's always a resident feline. And this feline, so a few years ago, before because they only tap out for so long, they're only there before they tap out. And tap out means that they go to like rest homes for themselves, like that, so they're not, in the hotel anymore. Matilda was there. She was lovely, and Matilda didn't like very many people, but guess who she liked?
Oh, she liked you.
Oh, she did.
Yep.
And she was lovely. And then there's been a resident cat there for the past 5 or 6 years, and he's lovely too. And his name is Hamlet. I think he's Hamlet the 8th there because there have been he's an orange tabby. He's adorable. And I got to go in the back room to pet and purr because there are a lot of people, and the lovely concierge Jimmy said, "Come with me, we'll go see him." So I was very excited. So that was the highlight of my weekend.
The cat.
It was Wicked and Friends, but the cat.
Yep.
You can't go someplace and not have a cat in your life. I know this is not a thing for you, but for me, it's as fine. It's a psychological thing.
Teach their own.
I know. So it was beautiful and it was wonderful. And it was a really nice weekend. And then it poured.
I was in New York for a convention. We went to an Italian restaurant that was in the back of a storefront in the basement.
Oh, was John Gotti there?
But it was like the Italian restaurant with the checkered tablecloth.
Oh, yeah.
And there were cats on. They were like,
what was
3 or
it?
4 cats.
I want to go there. Oh,
this is years ago.
Oh. Yeah. I went to an Italian restaurant this weekend. It was fabulous. It was called Serafina. They have them all over, but there were heart-shaped lobster ravioli that were very delicious.
Wow. Lobster ravioli. Wow.
Oh, it was delicious.
It's one way to eat lobster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you, this is a well-known place. So many years ago, Guy Fieri did a Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives show down in Boston. And he went to Reno's. And if you've never been to Reno's, it literally has, I think, maybe 10 tables. But they make lobster ravioli that I've never had anywhere else that is to die for. Spectacular. They've got to be 2 inches by 2 inches. Like everything's made to order there. So if you go there, one, you're going to wait. They don't take reservations, and it's all like it takes 3 to 4 hours to eat a dinner because everything's handmade. The bathroom's in the kitchen. But they take 2 lobsters, they boil them, and then they make the homemade ravioli right there. And then they stuff them with the lobster, and that's all that goes in it with very light sauce. Oh my God.
Nice.
And they get like 6 or 8 of them. So Reno's, downtown Boston, good luck getting in. It's not downtown Boston, it's actually in Southie. Okay. A little past. It's in East Boston, over near the airport. but it's fabulous on Saratoga Street. Go ahead, try to get in. See, I don't
That's
even
all
care
right.
because it's like, yeah. Anyway, okay. Okay, we're not reading that, whatever
No.
she's doing. So, Catherine, keep it to yourself. Anyway,
SOS.
I know, yeah, she's an SOS herself. So, but the reason why I tell you this is because this is the year of you, right? The year of you. Live,
Yes.
you know, so live and do things that, you know, make you happy and
Yep.
make you feel inspired. So I got all inspired over the weekend because I was like, this is really, you know, because it's old haunting ground. I haven't been there in a while, in a couple of years. And I was like, oh, and then I was over by my old spots and I was like, I love this. And it was springtime. Springtime is in New York is great. A little different than summer. Summer gets a little
Can
hot.
imagine. Yeah.
Well, it gets a little smelly in a lot of ways. And
Yep.
it's not the same. And I've lived there in the summer, so it's like, ooh, a little different. But it was beautiful. And Bryant Park was full of like all the little kiosks with all the little handmade things. And I had my little fun, yummy red bean curd cake at the Japanese market.
Grab these opportunities, right?
And that's the thing is everyone always says, and I'm going to talk about this today. Everyone always says, okay, well, I got a plan and then you don't plan and I'm going to talk about all those things today, but then you don't do it, but you have to do it. You just have to go and do it. So, spontaneity and like the Friends experience, I was not planning on doing that, but then my friend said, let's go do that. And I was like, fine, we'll go do that. I was up for it. I'm up for whatever. And random things. And I ate desserts that I wouldn't normally eat that were spectacular. Junior's Cake House, like the on TV.
Yeah.
Oh my. I had this thing. I don't even remember what it was, but I only ate like 3 or 4 bites and I was like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm sure it cost me $30. I don't know, but it was good. But that's the thing is like when you're living in your moment to live, like, live, do your thing. And, obviously, you don't need to go spend thousands of dollars, but have a great time. And
you don't have to do it all the time,
and you don't have to do it all the time. No. You don't have to spend money, but sometimes when you travel, you do. But oh my God, this was fantastic. And so in the year of me, I'm encouraging you to do the year of you. And in May, the reason why I started bringing this up today actually is because the whole show on May being a time of, the growth and getting out there is that I've had a couple people talking about this now. Everyone's on board. There's so many people on board with this, not even a couple, a lot of people on board with the year of me. They come into my office or they see me on the street and they're like, oh my God, I listened to the year of me.
Sometimes they just need an excuse. Sometimes they just need a prompt.
Well, it's like giving someone permission to go ahead and just do it. Right. Exactly. So this has been a really good thing and I'm going to stick with it. Right. Because the May growth month, but it's about people asking me, how do you grow when you're stuck? Or I don't know if stuck is the right word, but people view stuck. And I always tell people, you're not stuck. It's just the choices that you're making. You may appear stuck and you may feel stuck. That's valid. But how do you then move forward? Or how do you grow in the month of May and on? And I liken it to the fact that, how in January when people have their resolutions, if they get too caught up in the words and they get caught up in the thought process of what it's supposed to be like, as opposed to just the daily thing like I talked about last week of, set your intention for the day. What's the day going to be like? What are you going to accomplish today? And does that have to be something over the top or does it have to just be something really basic? Like I threw a runner of a rug today in the wash because I've been wanting to do that. And I literally just walked by it. And I know that sounds silly, but it needed to be done because it had been since winter. And I'm like, I'm just walking by it. I'm leaving the house. I'm going to come back later and just put it in the dryer. And why not do it? But it's something that will hang on you. It's so stupid. It's so innocuous. It has no meaning in the world of but at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I did that. It's all like, it gave me that sense of purpose that I cleaned up. It's all nice and fresh. It's refreshed, and that's kind of the goal of I guess daily living. But just if we're really focusing on the month of May and the questions that people were giving me last week is doing things that are so basic that you would think they don't count. People don't count those small things. It's not big enough. It's not something big. I didn't write my book today, or I did. That's not the point. It's about taking that intentional, like, I have an intention to do something for myself today. What is that thing? Okay, here it is.
Well, we've talked about clutter in our lives.
Yes.
And,
So
but
much
there's
clutter.
mental clutter and there's task clutter where there's these really tiny things that you just don't get done. And it
Mhm.
just hangs around and you walk by it and go, I should do that. And you spend 2 weeks going, I should do that.
Exactly. Or
When it
2
would take-
months or
yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And you accumulate so many of these, it just weighs on you. So get some stuff done.
Well, and I think so if you get little things done today, for instance, just take today, May 7th, right? And you're
Yeah.
listening to the show and right afterwards, what's the one thing that you can go do today that would be like, oh yeah, and you may think that that's not a big thing, or you may think that won't make you happy, but watch what it does.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you do something, whether I think it's accomplishing or you do, the person who's doing the thing that makes them feel like, oh, I did that, you get a serotonin release, you get a mood stabilizer release, you get a dopamine release, which means that you're going to have happiness and pleasure. So you've got them working together. You lower your anxiety because your GABA neurotransmitter goes up and fills up the cup of like, oh, I'm not as anxious because I'm not worried, or it's not sitting in the back of my mind waiting for me to do it. You know,
You stack a win.
the procrastinators, right? I got rid of a whole bunch of emails today. I did a whole bunch of things this morning that were like, just weighing over the past week. And what I say to you when I came in, I said, all of them are off my list, right? I was
Yep.
like, they're gone. And you probably felt it because you know me well, but it's that lightness of like, it's off my shoulders. I don't have to do it. It's gone. It's done.
Well, one of those was a big thing.
One of those was
it doesn't have to be a big thing.
Right. One of them was a huge thing that
Yep.
was weighing heavy, but it was like, once I push send, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, all done. And then I went right into that mindset of, I grew because now I have no control. My hands are off that steering wheel because I have no control right now.
The best thing in the world. I get an article
So
every week
good.
to write, and I hit that deadline, hit send.
Yep.
It's like that is the best moment.
Yep.
It's like I don't have to deal with it anymore. I've been dealing with it for 3 days. So
And what was interesting, well, yes. So like talk about like, for people that have to like, they have timelines or deadlines of things. And I think that's one of the hardest things is when you're on a deadline that's not just your own, but on someone else's deadline. I used to write an article for years for a journal. And oh my God, every month I'd get it out the door, right? And it would be like, it would be right on the day, right before the end of the day. And it would be out the door. And I'd be like, God, that's so easy. It takes me no time. And then I would procrastinate and wait the whole month to write it again,
Yep.
and I just never learned from that. I mean, I did learn that I should not write a monthly article.
Yeah.
But I did that for, I don't know, 7, 8 years every month. And it's that thing of like, oh, push send and it's gone. And it's so great.
There's nothing like that.
No, it's so wonderful as long as you don't get back in that pattern of the next 30 days of doing nothing. I always was like, I'm going to put it in a shoot. I'm going to have 2 or 3 in the shoot, and just, no, that never worked. So, we all have our human stuff, but.
So it just keeps stacking wins. Those task lists, even though if you start the day with 2 or 3 things on your task list and just check them off, I mean, that's so enriching. It's just, you feel good doing it.
Well, it's enriching. It's so enriching, and people poo-poo that because they don't feel it's enough. And that's the culture of the psychology. That's the social psychology culture of no one else will think it's enough. So then it's not enough for me, even if you're not conscious of it. Right. So you can't worry about, you can worry about what other people are going to think, but who are those other people? And why does that matter in your grand scheme of life? Because then so I guess I have a whole bunch of tips about this, but my first one would be, it's unrealistic goal setting. Are you realistically setting a goal for yourself? Or are you doing it because of someone else? If you're doing it because of someone else or on someone else's ideals, and you're trying to grow this month, and your goals are based on what you think other people are going to think, what you think other people think you should do, and all those things, and you bypass what you want or need for yourself, it's unrealistic and it's going to fail.
Yep.
Your growth is going to either be stunted, stuck, or just fail, right? And fail means like you do nothing,
right? Because
you get stuck, right? And and there's always lessons in fail. But if you keep doing nothing month after month, then what is the lesson in that? Well, that you're good at not doing anything.
But I deal with sometimes I catastrophize things, even the small things. It's like, well, I should fix this, but I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do that. And when I finally do it, it's like, well, that wasn't so bad. And it's like that's a muscle you develop once you start accomplishing things and you realize it's not overwhelming.
Well, and that's the thing is like, I wish more people, and this is an affliction of human. I wish more people would get that concept of the more you do that oh, aha, it doesn't really take that much. And you're having to do that repetitive thing that they would learn. And that feeling would be there. People don't trust that feeling enough because they've had that one experience, maybe two, but usually it's just one experience enough to be like, oh, it's so painful.
Yeah.
But then they don't count and really supersede the bad feeling with the good feeling of, oh, that was really easy, or that actually felt good, and it's really not as bad as it was, and it's like 2 seconds.
And I'm happy it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, as simple as this is, I could write a 1 to 2 word email back to someone that I've been sitting on for 5 or 6 days, and then be like, why did I just do that? Like, because and I know why I don't, is because I have 500 other things in the way, and it's like, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then after I do it, I'm like, oh God, I could have sent that. Or when someone else is pinging me going, did you get my email? I'm like, ugh. Yeah.
Plus
and it takes me, all I had to do was say yes.
Plus, you probably get this too. I'm the same way. You've lost possession of your time.
Well, yes.
I'm not answering that.
Right.
I've got other things
to do. Right.
Yeah.
And if it's not an emergency or right, it's not right. And so
that's me training other people how to treat me.
Well,
don't expect an immediate reply.
Yeah, you taught me that last week, because it was the first time you actually didn't reply to me. I was like, wow.
I was going to see you the next day.
I clearly got the message, because all the years I've known you, you always reply like right back. You didn't reply for squat. I was like, wow, I know my place now. Now I've become too familiar.
Fine.
Yeah. I was like, I came in, I'm like, where's my response? You're like, I was working. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're one of 3 people I actually answer phone calls for.
I do feel special. However, you didn't answer the stupid phone call.
No.
And I called twice. Usually it's the ring and then the ring back. But yes.
That was a double.
It was I know. I thought you said it was a triple.
It was.
Okay.
Being technical.
So not to beat the dead horse on this, but it's setting the small, like I'm talking like the smallest intention of the day, like so small, like enjoy your coffee. If it can be that simple, get up and don't be mindless. Don't be mindless. Get up and mindfully enjoy your cup of coffee. If that's where it needs to start, or enjoy your tea, or enjoy your glass of water, or your orange juice, whatever it is, right? Coffee, whatever. I can't emphasize enough on how growth just starts with something so basic. And people don't give themselves enough credit to just say, just do it. They go right into this big, well, it wasn't enough. And that's based on something else. Good morning, Natasha. Let's see. What does Natasha say? It's difficult starting, and then I get the fuck it's. But it's not that I can't do it, because I can. I just feel stuck. That is, okay. Yeah. That's to the point, right? Exactly. It's exactly. So the fuck it's are when people get into the mode of kind of like, well, why bother doing? I call it the Eeyore syndrome. Why bother going out when you just have to come back, right? So it's the same thing. You get the thing of like, well, I already ate that piece of cake, so fuck it. I'll just keep eating crap all day and start tomorrow. That's like perfect to what Natasha just brought up, right? Because it's not that you're stuck. You get into a mindset that is a less mindful. It's mindless, right? Not mindless as in bad. It's you're mindful is, use the word full. Mindful. You're full of your mind to be wise and make good choices or make things, and that will get you unstuck. When you're mindless, doesn't mean you're dumb. It's just that you're doing things mindlessly. So it's just like, I'll just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. Why? What does it matter? I'll just do it anyway. And that's what she's talking about, because then that makes you feel stuck, because it makes you think. It convinces you, train yourself how to treat yourself, right? Talk about treating yourself, right? You actually train yourself how to treat you. And if you get into that mode, you're giving yourself permission to give up, and you're not stuck. It's a choice that's put you in a position because you've become less mindful of the thing that's becoming the fuck it.
Yeah. If you keep running into this, start smaller, right? It's because you're overwhelmed.
Yes.
With the task. So that was too big a task.
Yes.
So to do something small, stack small accomplishments, and you get there one step at a time.
So to Leanne. Good morning, Leanne from Minnesota. She's joining us this morning from lovely Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's warm. Leanne, it better be warm there, because I'm coming soon. Leanne, make sure it's warm. But Leanne's point is built on life is built on small things. Yep. And when I say small, I mean, when I work with my patients and like my athletes, especially, higher level athletes who expect so much of themselves. I mean, most athletes do, but like when I'm in like Olympic level and whatever, they go for these, their small is like everybody else is like, beer,
Yeah.
and I go micro, go micro of how small you really have to go so that you don't feel as bad about the day or yourself. And I always say to people who are really stuck, and like Natasha used the word stuck, I say it's like a marathon. The distance of the day is the same. Everybody has to run 24 hours. Everybody runs the 26.2 if you do a marathon. It doesn't matter if it's 2 hours or 24 hours, right?
Yep.
It's the same. So that means when you're running the daily marathon, chunk it. So if you get up at 6 a.m, do like 6 to 9. What little thing are you going to do to make yourself feel growth or feel happy or feel joy in those 3 hours? That doesn't mean the whole 3 hours. And this is the misnomer. This is the misconception. People think I have to have the whole day has to be happy. The whole day has to be joy. You can have a joyful moment in the morning, have a total disaster happen of like epic proportion in your mind from 10 to 11. And then some people choose that the whole day goes down the chute, or by noon or 1, the day resets itself, or it gets something and you have to put that aside because you can't control it or something, whatever. And then you chunk into the next section. So for all things being equal, let's say you have your day isn't going to go poorly. There's no expectation of poor. So like 6 to 9, do something. There's your mini, like, oh, I'm going to just enjoy this moment this morning. I'm going to sit on my deck. I'm going to have something to drink and listen to music or listen to the birds for 5 minutes. Like this morning, I was backing out of my driveway and I have a little bird feeder that has a little bird house. And for years, I've never seen a bird go in this house. And this morning, this little chickadee was jumping in and out of the hole. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're building a baby nest. And I sat and I never see that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I sat there for maybe a minute, which also made me late on top of the other things that made me late. But, but I enjoyed it. And I was like, and talk about, I bring up the late. In years of non-growth or months of non-growth, I'd be like, oh, I'm late. I'm like, yeah, I'm late, whatever.
But taking that moment is okay. It's okay.
Right. And it's wonderful. And I had it and I was like, that was so worth it. And I sat there extra and I was just like, this is wonderful, because I wanted to see what's going on. And I was like, this is so great. But it's taking, so like 6 to 9, and then like 9 to 12 and 12 to 3 and 3 to 6 and 6 to 9, and then so that you're, and that doesn't mean that you have to set a little micro goal for each of those chunks. It's just, are you a person that needs to really break down your day to say, okay, I'm now going to exercise from 9 to 12. So I'm going to get my half an hour walk in, or I'm going to get my, jumping jacks in, or my 10 sit-ups or my 10 push-ups, right? There's your chunk. And you just did something that made you grow because you did it, you committed. And then, so you take your day and chunk it out like that, like you would do a marathon. That's how I teach people to run a marathon, is that you do the first, you break it into 3s or 5s or, whatever it is. And you take each section for what it is so that you can have a focus on that. So
you don't draw a plan to lose 50 pounds. You just eat the next meal right.
Right. But that's not how people work. Just keep chaining
them together. Yeah.
But that's unfortunately.
But that's how people get overwhelmed. They got to lose 50 pounds. No, you don't. You just have to eat well in the next meal.
Right. And right. And then to Natasha's point again, is that when you go with I have to lose 50 pounds, and 2 weeks later in May, right? Because everyone's trying to do their beach body. We're working on, like, I have tons of people right now being like, I got to get a beach body. I'm like, we're just starting in May and it's going to be June and we're already going to get beach weather. And they're like, I got to get it. And I'm like, you can't be frustrated with yourself, even though they will be, because they're already into a week or two. Here we are a week into May. I've already got people last week saying, I need to lose 25 pounds. I'm like, by when? And I said, by September. And they're like, no, by June, like 30th. I'm like, are we starving ourselves? Because we're going to end up getting
just making it an impossible task.
Well, it's a setup. You're training yourself to treat you poorly because you're setting yourself up to fail.
Yep.
And then you're going to beat yourself up. Then you're going to probably eat more. It's the vicious cycle. And then and then I get people that will immediately go into, I'll do it next year. It's coming, like before the end of May, when they haven't hit the 25 pound or 50 pound mark that they started today. They'll be like, I'll just do it next year. And I'm like, well, you're not going to go to the beach. They're like, I just won't go to the beach. Oh, okay.
Can't give up
or I won't put it, or I won't go, or I won't wear a bathing suit.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's so sad. right? Because they miss it out. Or I have a couple of people that have last year, they're much better this year because they've been losing weight and we've been on a schedule. But last year they were like, I'll just go at the end of the day so no one can see me. Like, this is not a good plan. This is not a good plan. And I think that if people were more realistic with their day to day, that would make their month, the month of them better, whether it's May, June, July, whatever.
And this is building muscle in a way on these tasks, because you stack the accomplishments and you just gain momentum and you start to get involved in it.
Right.
You get better at it. That's why I've always said financial and weight loss, getting your finances together and weight loss is so huge for this, because they give you the tools to do everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Leanne was just saying her weight loss, she did 5 pounds at a time. Otherwise it was too overwhelming. Yes. Yeah. So 5 pounds, if that works for you, that's great. And I often tell people, really, truly, it's like 1 to 2 pounds a week is the most realistic, really, to get if you're doing it correctly,
500 calorie deficit, 7 days, 3,500 calories, that's a pound.
Okay. You just talked a foreign language to a lot of people, and that to explain that the 500 calorie, you should see the math that people do on that. But yes, if people do know that
burn
math,
500 more calories than
you eat. Right. But if you're eating 7,000 calories, the 500 calories aren't going to matter. So, there's that. And then Rohit, good morning, Rohit. So he says small things are totally achievable for 2 to 3 days, but after that, it's hard not to simply forget or wean off back to old habits when life throws wrenches in the way. This is true. That's
making it a bigger thing, though.
But that's what he just wrote is exactly what people do. Yeah. Right. They do. They get all gung ho for 1 or 2 days, maybe 3. And then after that, all of a sudden it's like, oh, but I really want to do that, or I really want to eat that, or I really want to, or I don't want to do that now, or I don't have time for that. Like, it's always the justification, reason, excuse, whatever you want to call it.
All you got to do is get gun ho for today. That's all you have to do.
And that's to the year of you point. And that's my whole thing is just do today, live for today, live in the moment of today. Because if you are thinking about what it'll be like on Friday when you want to go out, or when you want to go to the beach on Saturday and you still feel bloated or whatever it is, why don't you just do today?
Yep.
Right. And I mean, I can't tell you how many people, because I don't have the count, because there's so many people that just sit in my office constantly going, yeah, but. And I call that the yeah, but syndrome. It's I did it for 2 days. I had someone last week just start Weight Watchers back up. And I was like, oh, how's it go? Because they see me every 2 weeks, and I've been seeing them for years. And she said, oh, it's going really well. And she's like, I'm on day 1. I was like, oh. And so I was, she said, by day 3, I'm not going to be feeling very great. And I'm like, this is
deprivation doesn't work,
right. And in the whole thought of, so I'll use the Weight Watchers example, but it's not really Weight Watchers. It's dieting, for instance. Dieting sets you up for trying to long-term plan something that really is a day-to-day thing. Yeah. It's the same concept. In order to grow today, you have to just do for today. You can't be thinking about like, how many points can I bank for 2 weeks from now, or a week from now, or if I don't eat this many things today, I have this many points for later. That's exactly the opposite of the growth model that I help people with. I understand it works for a lot of people, and great, good for you. If it works for you, I'm not going to ever say don't do it. However, my experience clinically and professionally over the years has just let me see that develops the mindless versus the mindful wisdom. It's not wisdom over time. It's mind tricks, it's game playing, it's bargaining with yourself. It's doing all these things that that miswire the brain, right? We're always talking about in addiction work that you try to rewire the brain so that it's like thoughts are like on a straight path. And your neurotransmitters are working in a straight path. When you start doing that kind of thing, like with those diet programs and, macros and micros, all good, fine. And they work, don't get me wrong. But if your mind is not that type of mind, which a lot of people's are not, then the wires just stay crossed, and all it does is get it bound more into this mind trick thing, so that you get really dependent or really codependent on a program. and that may or may not work for you because of how you're working it. So I mean, there's science behind the point thing. There's science behind calorie counting. There's science behind weighing yourself every day. There's science, I get it. However, at the end of the day, if you are not just living your moment of the day to grow, to have the month of you, you're going to struggle because it's not realistic. You're not remaining realistic with yourself. And so it's a struggle for people. And so, but small things. I would go right back to the micro things. And that also brings me to the next point of, the plan. People, what is it? My father always used to say, piss poor planning leads to poor performance. Right.
Yep.
So, I was like, my dad used to say this. Right. So no,
the art of war. Every battle is won or lost before you start it.
Right. So if you go into something with no plan, which is what people do, and this is to a whole bunch of people's comments, right? If you have no plan on a daily, I'm not talking about a long-term plan. A plan is not, I want to lose 50 pounds. That is not a plan. I want $1 million, but if I don't have a plan to get there, I'm not getting it. Right. If I don't have a savings plan, if I don't have a financial plan, right. I mean, there's a reason. If I want to run a business, I have to have a business plan. You just really typically can't just walk in and wing it. It just doesn't work like that. Maybe for some people, but it's really rare. Right. So to go along with the piece of growth is that you have to have a plan, and it would still come back to, and I'm going to be repetitive about this on purpose because we are repetitive creatures. The plan is for the day.
Yeah. Exactly.
The day.
Good point. Yeah.
The plan is for the chunked time.
Because that's where people get overwhelmed.
Right. Because they're not planning for the moment in the day. Yeah. They're planning for next weekend and 2 weekends. And
what's your 5-year plan?
Yeah.
Come on.
And I think that's one of the worst questions people ask in interviews for people. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And my answer in my head, if I was interviewing, is always like, I'm just sticking to today.
Yep.
And 5 years from now, I could tell you what I would think I'd want. But that's probably going to change in a day or 2 or 10.
Yep.
So I'm not sure. I just know that I want to grow. And I think that's the mindset to be in is, I know that I want growth. Where that lands me, is that a new house? Is that a new job? Is that moving somewhere? Is that being 10 pounds less? Sure. I don't know because I'm not a psychic. I always say I'm a psychologist, not a psychic. But it's about staying in your plan. And the plan is, what am I doing today? Now, does that mean you shouldn't have a long-term goal? No, that means you can absolutely say, I would like to eventually own a home at the beach. Yeah. Fine. That's great. So, but what are you doing today to get there?
Yeah.
Did you put $20 away today?
Yeah.
Did you spend, your day worried about what you don't have? Like, what is the plan? What are you doing? So, the no plan game plan is a bad plan.
Yeah.
Right.
So
in combination with living in the moment of living in the day for just like the small, stacking small wins is important. The other piece is overdoing it. The weekend warrior thing I've talked about last week. Gradually building like a routine is better than so gradually building a routine over a period of time will create a habit that will create success in your goal and your plan. So if you're doing that, you're going to have growth. If you're overdoing it and saying like, okay, I didn't do these things, but I'll do them on Saturday. And then Sunday you're exhausted and you're right back in the same routine that you always do on Monday. That's not going to be sustainable. And so how do you grow out of that? You don't, because you're not doing a daily check-in. You're not doing a daily plan, and you're not doing a daily moderate build up and accumulation of things to make you feel good. You're trying to slam it all in and be like, I accomplished, it's like people, that's why I say the weekend warriors, people won't run, for instance. I'll go back to running. People won't run all week. And then on Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, they'll end up banking like 40 miles. Their bodies are in pain. Their lactic acid buildup is there. All of a sudden they don't feel good. And now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're like, dragging. Why? Because they weekend warriored because they just overdid. And that's with anything, right? Overeat, overshop, overthink, overthinking is, a big one, right? Yep. Overthinking is just that one that, wow, people, you can ruin your whole life overthinking.
Yep.
overwork. It's the worry. And I call worry, worrying is praying for something bad to happen.
Yep.
Right. So, and people always look at me like, what? That's what worrying is. You're literally praying for something bad to happen. And people go, I am not. And I'm like, well, that's what worrying is. You're literally overthinking to the point where you're manifesting to come to
thoughts
you
become
because
things.
thoughts becomes things. And whether you use the word prayer, which I'm not meaning it religiously, it's like you're just asking for it to come to you because you're manifesting it.
You're
because all you're doing is saying it's never going to happen, it's never going to work, it's never going to this, it's never going to that, or I did that, so now this is all negated. Right, because you're manifesting it. You're just overthinking. And how do you stop that? Well, you have to go right back to the beginning and go, is it realistic? Is it rational? Is it reasonable for me to be thinking that I can lose 50 pounds in the next 4 weeks? What's the answer?
No.
Is it reasonable for you to think, though, with facts, that you could lose 2 pounds, maybe 3 in the next week?
Yep.
Sure. Absolutely. Right? People often will do that. And I'm going to use that as an example. And they'll say, today, I'm going to lose 2 pounds this week. And then tomorrow they'll be up a pound.
Yeah.
And then they'll get mad and go, oh my God, now I get the F-its because I gained a pound. Well, everybody fluctuates on a daily between 1 and 2 pounds because of water, as I drink my water.
Yep.
Sometimes,
don't weigh yourself every 10 minutes, first of all.
Well, I was going to say, you can't weigh yourself every day. You have to be able to, do that a little bit in like a week to week basis, not even sometimes for some people, I was just thinking about water, and all of a sudden I'm like, I've never had to take a break in the show to the bathroom. And all of a sudden I'm like, I think I'm going to have to do that. And we don't have a commercial break. Isn't that funny? How do we do that, Lou?
I can do a commercial break.
Oh, you can? Because I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I've never had to do that because I didn't go to the ladies' room before I got on the show today because I was so excited. I'm like, oh, I've got a lot of water this morning. Sorry, everybody. I might have to
set up. We have.
I might have to. Well, I don't have to yet, but I'm just thinking. I was drinking water. I'm like, oh. I'm going to see how long it makes it. Thanks everyone for supporting the fact that I'm now like thinking, I have had a lot of water today.
You just manifested it.
I did. I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I might have to go to the ladies' room. That's so funny.
Thoughts become things.
Thoughts become things. Oh my God, that's too funny. First time in all these years.
That was the secret was a big thing for me at the time. And I don't buy the metaphysical part of it. It's just human nature. Whatever you predominantly think about tends to happen.
Well, it's like the elephant in the room, right? I started thinking about what I was talking about. I'm like, oh, but it is. And
everyone sees the negative aspect of that, how you can talk yourself. Like you go into a job interview, and I'm going to blow this job interview. I'm going to blow this job interview. And you do. But people don't understand the power of the positive part of that.
Well,
it's not positive thinking. It's just staying away from that.
So there's a theory. It's in sports psychology that I use, and I use it with my students. I use it with some clients that have this kind of mindset. It's called the inverted U theory. And you can look it up. It's online, people, and it's not like a secret. But an inverted U theory is that, you have your X and Y axis, right? And you have your performance and you have your anxiety, right? On the bottom. Performance on the top, anxiety on the bottom. When you don't have any worry, you have no thoughts, everything's good. I'm great at this. It's going to be fabulous.
When does that happen?
You're going to be at the bottom of you're going to be on the bottom of the U. You're going to be on the floor because you're not going to perform well. And when you overthink and over worry and oh my God, and you over prepare, and you're so worried and I'm going to fail. You're going to be on the other side of the U on the floor, on the bottom again in the actual, performance, because your performance and anxiety are going to match. They're both going to be bad and they're both going to be on the floor. But if we do the U, right, if you're watching me draw the U, at the top of the U, there's I always put a box around that U. That's where anxiety it's balanced. Like you have some, not too little, not too much, but it's somewhere in that little normal, sort of bell curve range, whatever that is. And you're on alert, but you're not over alerted and you're not under alerted. Your performance is going to be your best. And that's where you're not, people who are overconfident get just crucified on this all the time because they go right to the floor. And then people who come in and just be like I'm going to do terrible. Sometimes I can see it, if I can predict it, it'd be right on that, right above the drop line to the floor. But I'll be like, oh, the anxiety is too high for this. So that's that whole, like we were just saying, it's the inverted you, it's the performance, it's the manifesting.
Yep.
Where are you going to be on that? And you have control over that. And people do not think that they have control over the growth of that. It's like it manifests itself because of the way you think about things. And a lot of people don't buy into your thoughts, or your thoughts become things, your thoughts become actions, your thoughts become outcomes.
They don't buy into the positive aspect. And how many people have sat on the tee and go, I can't slice this ball into the woods. And what do? They slice the ball into the woods. That's very powerful from a negative standpoint, but people don't understand how powerful it is from a positive standpoint.
And exactly. And because people are more likely, and human beings are much more likely to believe the negative, which is why you could have 500 pieces of positive information given to someone, a kid, and then you say that one thing, and this is for anybody. You say the one thing, and that's the one thing that will stick.
Yep.
Right? Because we hang on that because it defines us. We define ourselves by it, and you have to be able to, Well,
our mind threat generates, and it grabs onto that, and it generates the threat.
And I don't remember if it was on my show last week or recently, but I've been talking recently somewhere, and it's about this growth pieces. When we have those, let's call them like emotional traumas, and people go, "I'm not traumatized." Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes. Just go with it. Yes, you are. Yeah. When you have like emotional traumas, things that have sat with you negatively, they're the little gnats, they're the negative things in your head, they're the toxic pieces, whatever you want to call them, right? You don't want to call them traumas. When you sit with those negative pieces, they just manifest over and over and over again, and they just sit with you, and they don't go away unless you start challenging them. You have to be able to look at them and say, this is not true. This is not who I am. This is not what I'm about. This is not whatever. You have to really look at it for the truth of it, and truth isn't in supposition and assumption, because we can always find, oh yeah, it's fact. Why? Because, because someone said it. Your coach said you're a terrible, dribbler, or you're a terrible golfer, or you're a terrible gymnast, whatever. Just because someone says it doesn't make it so. Just because someone criticizes you or gives you feedback doesn't make it so, and doesn't have to be who you are. But we internalize these little traumas, and we take them into our lives, and they become our reality. Yep. And that supersedes, that's what creates our self-esteem to be so poor. 0 to 6 years old, all these things get created. I was going to say
something your mother said when you were 6. You're living with it.
Right.
Everybody is.
Well, something your mother, your father, your teacher, your coach, like I have a list that could be a book of itself of like what was said to me by the time I was 6 between people I knew. Like, oh my God, and I have generated over the years in my own growth, right? A list of many positive things that very particular people had said to me. And I did that to counter, specifically in my life, all those like really negative, toxic things, because everybody has them. No one is without these things. Right. And to say that you're lying. You're just lying, right? And it's how you then become more resilient to all these things because of how you then process them. I'm still trying to manifest the potty to go away. I'm working on it. So funny. That may not happen. I was just looking at my notes for a second thinking, I'm buying myself some time. Okay. We are going to take a break. You're going to have to put on a commercial because I have to run to the ladies' room. Thank you, everyone. Please hold for 2 minutes.
You go to the ladies' room.
I can't believe this. And all these...
Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcasts. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world. Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcasts. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
And I'm back. Thank you, everybody, for taking my commercial break. So I'm back, and there's a great question here from Rohit that says, what about when you intentionally produce conscious positive thoughts, but at a deeper level, you believe the opposite? What a great question.
It's a great question.
Such a great question. And he was a former student, and he's super smart, and this is, fantastic.
Can I try?
Yes, go ahead. And I will then give my answer.
Deep down, at a deeper level, you believe the opposite because of past outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is when you start doing baby steps and stacking wins and build, you start to believe in, you start to see more positive outcomes, even if they're small positive outcomes. So you don't have to fight that impulse anymore. You get much better at seeing the positive outcomes. You see the possibles. You believe in them more than you do. Right now, he believes in negative outcomes.
Right. So yes. So that's essentially the answer. Yeah. And I'm going to flesh it out just on top of that a little bit more. But so when you believe deep down something is the opposite of the outcome you want, even though you're putting the good stuff out in the world, if you don't keep putting the good stuff out and faking it till you make it, so to speak, it's the old AA adage, fake it till you make it, keep doing it, stack the little wins, see them. If you don't give yourself credit for those, that will not replace and take over the negative that you've had before, or that you've anticipated, even if it hasn't happened, because you've generated that the possibility is there. It will not replace it. But the goal would be, right, in the year of you or the May of you, is that if you stack your daily wins, even though you have an opposite feeling like, oh, it's not going to do any good, it's not really going to make a difference. Yep. You're going to start going, wait a second, I actually felt better. Like, take that feeling, go, oh, okay, I felt better. That made me feel good, or that made that happen and it was better, or that made a difference. And then that eventually that if you allow it, this is a big piece. You have to allow that to be believed to then replace the belief you have that it's going to be terrible. Because if you don't accept it and you poo-poo the good stuff that happens, like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal, or, whatever, just, that was a fluke. Or if you negate the things that are happening that are consciously putting into the world intentionally to be positive or productive, if you negate those, then of course the negative thing that you have in your mindset is going to be proven, when in fact it's not really provable, because you're just supposing and you're assuming and it's happening. So it's really important to know that those negative things are sitting underneath, and they can go away, but you have to sometimes fake it till you make it, and then you have to give yourself permission to say, that was good, that was okay.
A lot of it's about staying present too, because if we're talking weight loss, for example, hey, I lost 2 pounds this week.
Yes.
And you don't take that win. You don't stack that win. What you think is, but I'm not going to lose 20.
Right. Or you can do what I was just saying before. It was I lost 2 pounds, but it's water weight. Right. And negating what it could have been.
Right.
And it's like, well,
that's a win. Enjoy
it's
it.
a win. Take the 2 pounds, tomorrow, a week from now, it could be 3 pounds, and you just don't know. But if you stop at the 2 pounds and then give it a reason why that it's, to his point, give it the negative underlying reason why you think it might not be that.
I can't get where I want to get.
Right.
I did okay this week, but I can't get where I want to get.
Right.
It's like, well, stop thinking. Again, you're just going back to being overwhelmed by the overarching goal.
Well, and I think also
do it again tomorrow.
I think also to this point is, Introvert Hate's point is it goes to instant gratification, right? It goes to, we want what we want when we want it. And if it doesn't happen, then we go right back to the bleh. So when we consciously put something out in the world to say, I want this, I need this is going to happen. But in the backside of it being like, well, it's never happened. It doesn't happen. It doesn't come easy, all those things. It's really going into that concept of, I'm not instantly gratified. If it doesn't happen, if I didn't lose 5 pounds by tomorrow, and I didn't eat anything today, well, what's wrong? Right.
What did I do that for?
Why? Right. Why did I miss out on all those things? Right. Or, I liken it to the same thing comes up for like the marathon thing is, people like my whole goal is always be happy, healthy, and finish, right? You go back into any of my shows is like, what do you do when you do the Boston Marathon? This, other marathons is different. I have different goals. I actually have time goals. It's the same thing. I go into it not with, I'm going to be watching my time, although it's there, right? It's more about like, was I happy? And people are like, oh, were you happy with your time? I don't care about my time.
Yeah.
I don't care. People are like, why? I'm like, because I don't. And that's the difference. It's like, it's that mindset of, I consciously go in going, I'm staying in the day. I can tell you probably 500 different things. And I'm not kidding, about 2 Mondays ago or 3 Mondays ago. And I couldn't possibly tell you what happened on Monday in detail this past week, because I was so present to have the positive outcome of the, if I had gone in with, I have to have this time, which is what happens to a lot of people. I have to have this time, and I didn't get it, and then miss out on those 500 other things. I'm like, I had the best Monday on Marathon Monday.
Can you imagine the people who train for 10 months and then they get to the Boston Marathon and they accomplish the marathon, but they're 20 minutes off their time?
I watch people have meltdowns.
Crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy to destroy that accomplishment of having trained, do all that training and run the marathon because you were 20 minutes off your time.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I'm just saying, like, in 11 years of running the Boston Marathon or running 15 marathons. Oh, I've been there, but not anymore, because
that's an insane mindset.
Because it's an insane, it's a just defeatist mindset. And it so takes away from the experience. It's like when you go to run Disney, you should see Disney, right? Disney runs are insane, right? They're so much fun. And so to this point, 90% of the people I would say that I meet when I do Disney runs, everyone's just there to have a great time. Yep. Like, no one's there to like PR, there are people, but sure. I don't know them, right? Because 90% or more are there just because they stop at every mile, because every mile Disney has these fun things to do. You can get on Everest and ride it, which I've done. Like, you're not there to get this qualifying time. If you are, great, good for you. But you're there to have fun. You're there to do these things and get your enormously wonderful medal at the end that makes you feel great. And you're with all these people that are doing the same thing with you. And people really have a hard time with that mindset of, you're doing it for fun. You're doing it to like, you don't want to like, yeah, you know, and yeah, this is what it is, because you miss out. And this is like a daily, like, that's my example for missing out on life. Today is Wednesday. You know, it's actually here in New England, here in Massachusetts, it's a beautiful day out today here. It's been pouring.
Relatively speaking.
Well, right. Comparatively to the last few days, because it's been pouring. And it's, you know, how many people do you know will go through the day and not even think about the trees, the flowers, the birds, the weather, smiling, people, seeing stuff around you? Because what do? They get up, they eat, they go to work, they come back, they go to sleep.
Yep.
I mean, like, do growth in your day. Like I saw my chickadee today. I'm going to go back and look. And I saw like a couple other things going on. Like, you have to be so into your day to have growth. And it's a work in progress to have this. It's not easy to just be like, okay, be in the month of May, grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being redundant, repetitive, rhetorical, whatever you want to call it, all the time about this, because you have to work it. You have to be in the moment, in the present, all the time to be working it. And if you're not, you're just going to have that, oh, it doesn't work. The Eeyore. It's, why bother going out when you just have to come back? Poor Eeyore, right? You have to be wise owl. So I love Winnie the Pooh characters, and I use them all the time in therapy of, you know, are you Tigger? We need more Tigger. We don't need so much, you know, we need wise owl. We need a little Tigger. We need a lot
of
little
articles on that.
Right.
The personalities.
Yeah. We don't need Eeyore. Eeyore's lovely. We love Eeyore, but you know, we don't need Eeyore.
Yeah.
We need less Eeyore, more Tigger, or we need more Pooh, or we need more wise owl, or we need a little Christopher Robin.
You need a balance.
Right. And unfortunately, when we were talking about like the month of you or the year of you, if you have a lot of that Eeyore in you, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle a lot more to put those plans in motion, to not get overwhelmed, to not
here's
overdo.
The dirty little secret. Most of that is self-inflicted.
It's all, not most, all. Yeah. It's all self-inflicted.
Well, things happen.
I mean, yeah, but it's rare that things all of a sudden just pop in and happen. It's usually you're already really set in motion for the most part. Yes, I will not negate that certain things can happen. But
and again, people don't understand they have the power on the positive end as strongly as they have the power on the negative end.
Right.
And people understand the negative end. They understand how they screw themselves. But.
Right. Well, and I think, excuse me, I think it's important I replace the word positive with all my clients and my students and probably all my friends that are listening, always are saying that I do this, is I don't talk about positivity. I talk about productivity. Yeah. The more productive you are, whether it's in your thoughts, whether it's in your actions, whether it's in your interactions, whether it's in your intentions, the more productive you are in all of those things, the more growth you have.
Yeah.
And I'm sure my friends that are listening right now are like, yes, she says it all the time. Right? Because I do.
Well, positivity, people roll their eyes.
Right. But if you're not being productive with all those different things, then, you know, and that means you have to take actions. And if you're a person that's waiting for something to happen to you, okay, well, we're going to have the same conversation over and over and over, because you get what you put in. And if you're repeating a negative loop and you're not doing anything to change it, what's the different definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Right. Right. And that's what many, many people do.
But people are being very productive on the negative end.
Oh, yes. Productivity has a different meaning.
Yeah.
It just has a different meaning and a different outcome. So for sure. But so in living the month of May and the growth month, right? So just really quickly, you know, set realistic goals daily, live in the day, chunk it, have some kind of structured plan for the day or for your moments in the day. Don't overdo. Don't stick to old habits. Identify that you have old habits. Leave all those things kind of behind if you can on a moment by moment basis, because you capture them in your mind and you know that they're there. I would offer up that if you need support, you should get support. Like if you need a family member, if you need a friend, go to people that you know are going to be like-minded like you, that are not going to go into the mindset of old or that habit of, you know, drawing it out. And then you have to be committed to change. You can't half-ass it. If you're half in and half out, you know, you're in the stage of change that is not going to change. If you're only contemplating it, great. Contemplate it, but contemplating is not action, and action is then not with a plan. I mean, you won't have a plan if you're not having the action and plan together.
Yep.
So if you're pre-contemplative, which means you're barely really thinking about it, but you like it, but you really don't want to do anything about it, good luck to you, because it's not going to happen. if you're contemplating it, you have to put that into commitment. You have to make a commitment to yourself that every single moment of every single day, that doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, because there's no perfect, but you have to make that commitment to yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're going to go back up to the top of the list of where Natasha said you get buckets.
Yep.
And there you go, back in the loop. So on the 7th day of May, in the growth month of May for you, go out there and just commit to something today, and then commit tomorrow, and then see how that goes one by one.
Doesn't have to be major.
No.
No.
All right, you guys.
Stack a win today.
That's right. Stack a win. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week.